Chat Cave with Mike and Max.
Welcome back to the Chat Cave here on McGTV, youtube.com/MikeMcGTV. Follow me on Twitter at MikeMcGTV. And as always, it's your hosts, Mike McG and
Max Andrews. How you guys doing?
We hope you're doing well. As summer rolls around, we're trying out new ideas here in the Chat Cave and all across the board in McGTV and 3 Geeks. And one of those was to, every once in a while, take a break from Bat news and Bat reviews and kind of go over specific portions of the Dark Knight's mythology, if you will, or certain characters. In this new segment, I'm tentatively calling the Bat Dossiers, in which we kind of go in depth into a specific, like I said, character.
Shouldn't they be the Chat Dossiers, though?
Ah, there we go, Chat Dossiers. Maybe that'll be more appropriate. Nice. Well, now I gotta redo that title card, but it'll all be forgiven. Anyways, so this first Chat Dossier is focusing around a pretty important person in the Bat mythos, I'd say. And at first, you wouldn't think that this type of character would play a central role to what Batman does, but as you go throughout characters' various incarnations and the comics and movies and TV and everything like that, you come to respect him a little bit more, but also accept some of his quirkiness. Max, who is our first person up here for the Chat Dossiers?
The one, the only, Alfred Pennyworth, quintessential. I say he's a cornerstone of the Bat mythos.
Mm-hmm. And really, he was one of the first characters that kind of had this particular niche in superhero mythology that at certain points has become sort of a trope, but also parodied quite a bit throughout various other comics. Jarvis from the Avengers, essentially, a lot of the modern audience knows him as just an AI, but, you know, when the Avengers comics first started, he was a flesh and blood butler for Tony Stark. And you could argue that Jarvis owes his creation to Alfred Pennyworth.
Is Jarvis also British? Like in the comic books? Like I didn't remember, but yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, Alfred is the butler's butler. He's your sidekick's sidekick. He does it all. Like, and the dude's like 83 perpetually like 83 years old too. So I mean, you gotta give him the credit.
So what was before we get into kind of the history of Alfred himself, what was your initial reaction to the character, or what was your first exposure to him, and what were your thoughts? Like, a butler? Batman has a butler, or anything like that?
Well, I think my first like Batman experience was like that I can vividly remember was the '89 movie with Michael Keaton and who played Alfred?
Michael Gough.
Yes,
Michael Gough. I want to say his name.
Yes, that was like my first kind of like my first memory of Alfred, and I didn't think he was too out of place just because, like I was a kid and sure, there's a butler, this guy's rich and he's Batman and that's totally fine. But I think he's the worst Alfred though.
Oh, we'll get into how we rate our Alfreds.
But that was my first experience with Alfred. But, like he was just the ever loyal butler. I
want to say it was even before Batman, like I mentioned before, the Batman TV show, the Adam West show. I knew he was in the background, but yeah, I'd say the Burton Batman was where I first had exposure to the character as an actual character. Now, on the Adam West TV show, I'm sure he had many great moments throughout that series, but they didn't stick with me as much as Michael. I keep screwing up his name. I want to say it's Gough instead of Go. My apologies from before. But Michael Gough, his take on the character, and yeah, we have our opinion definitely of, in retrospect, of that Alfred. At first, I was a little flabbergasted, first of all, that Batman would let someone so, what would the word be? Not mundane, but someone who kind of looked like your average person into his operation.
And on top of that, Alfred is like a 100% British gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of out of place in Gotham. already, like
very prim and proper.
Yes.
I don't know. It's a really interesting dynamic, and especially when you get into a little bit more mature storytelling with the character. And not only is he just more of the manservant type, but it plays more into advisor and paternal type role for Batman, which I started to appreciate more and more when I got older. I thought we'd just go quickly through a little bit of his history in comics before we get into the many iterations he's seen in other media here. He first appeared in Batman number 16 in April of 1943 and was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, and Jerry Robinson was his first artist. But when he was first introduced into the mythos, he's not the slender guy with the little mustache that you would often associate with him. He was overweight, clean shaven, and it was only until they got to the 1943 Batman serials where the actor who was playing him in those old serials was thin and had a mustache that they changed up the character in the comics. And that's something we kind of find in comic books in general, is how they're very reactionary to what happens in the live media. Yeah,
that's true. I didn't even think about that. Again, because I had to kind of go back to the beginning after I seen the movie, so I couldn't off the top of my head name anybody who was just so influenced. Like, oh well, we got people already recognize, or they're going to more recognize this TV character, so let's show that in our art, and it's got to be one of the original playing to the crowds,
Yeah. And the way it says here, the way they kind of went about doing that is in the editorial, they said, well, let's just explain it that he went to a health resort and slimmed down a lot and grew out a mustache.
Yeah.
And he was actually
a midlife crisis, came back with a mustache.
Yeah, exactly. Something kind of gave out in his ego and like, I got to go on a diet. But actually, when the character first came in, he wasn't the dry, witty, stoic type that we often associate with modern interpretations of the character now. He was actually sort of comic relief and bumbling. Like he was a kind of a doofus.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's how he first discovered who Batman and Robin were. I can't recall exactly, but I think it was he just happened to trip and stumble on the clock that leads to the Batcave.
Yeah, he tripped and hit the switch, and then it opened up. He's like, "What's down here?" And then I don't think he fell down the steps, but yeah, that's
no, I don't think so. I guess this is canon for the character, is that he inherited his role in Wayne Manor from, ironically, his father, who was named Jarvis.
Okay, so that's official. That makes it official.
Yeah, it's pretty blatant what they were doing in Avengers books. But so he inherited his position from his dad to serve the Wayne family, and that's all canon that he was the butler when Bruce Wayne's parents were killed and things like that. It's only later, I think, in post-crisis continuity, perhaps, or even earlier, that they incorporated. He's got some military chops on him, right?
Yeah. So there's kind of like two main storylines where he was former British Secret Air Service, and then went to the butler thing after his father was dying. And then another story, he was an actor, kind of a middling actor, and his father called on him to take up the family job, and he quits acting to become a butler. Mm-hmm. So there's two kind of pre-crisis storylines.
I was kind of hoping perhaps like in the Wonder Woman movie that just came out, that one of the, it would be a kind of a cool little Easter egg that one of the team members was like something Pennyworth. It was like his dad or something like that. Like start fleshing out the backstory for Jeremy Irons' Alfred.
That would have been cool. And I think it would have been cool too if Jeremy Irons had delivered, spoilers.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Spoilers for Wonder Woman. But it would have been cool if Jeremy Irons as Alfred delivered that picture to her.
Yeah.
And they had a better moment like that. I think that would have been, because you don't need who sends like this full armored car and all that bullshit, for a photograph.
Right. Well, and also, if we had tied it all in there and like say there was a Pennyworth fighting, it would have made sense that there would have been a Pennyworth fighting in the Great War.
Yes.
And that kind of gives another character arc. If he had cameoed there and been like said something to the effect of, "I'm glad you're back because you saved my father," perhaps at one point, like, well, how?
My grandfather. Yeah, but like that would have been a nice touch. And Jeremy Irons, obviously, like you just want to see that guy doing anything. So I think they missed out a little bit on that one.
So even when DC Films gets it right, we're still rewriting their stuff.
I mean, Wonder Woman was good. There's a lot wrong with it, but it was all right. But no, it would have been cool. That would have been a nice little again Easter egg to have. Great granddad Pennyworth out there doing it up with Wonder Woman.
Pre-Crisis, and what we mean by pre-Crisis for you noobs out there back in the mid '80s, there was Crisis on Infinite Earths, which basically started DC Universe from the ground up again in comics. So prior to that, I'm not sure how integrated he was in Bruce Wayne's journeys. I know there was a story called The Man Who Falls, which kind of it's very influential on what Nolan did with Batman Begins, where it chronicled Bruce Wayne globe-trotting, essentially. But Alfred wasn't really anywhere in sight until he returned to Gotham, kind of the way he is in that movie. So I'm not really sure like how much he played into fashioning the Batman persona with Bruce. I don't know if you knew this or not, he eventually at one point became a villain.
Yes, the Outsider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to look at it. It's dated. The story arc is a bit dated, but no, it's cool. Alfred kind of gets like superpowers and it's this whole crazy deal. But he kind of acts like a mastermind, and like sends other people at Batman, and then it all works out eventually where they turn him back to normal, and he has no recollection whatsoever of ever being a villain. But Alfred would make a pretty terrible villain for Batman.
I'm not familiar with those specific stories, but what I'm reading here is that he'd actually been experimented on because he had died sacrificing himself for Batman, and then he was experimented on by a scientist and was regenerated, but like you said, went crazy and had these amazing reality warping powers and would send people after the dynamic duo until he was revealed as the mastermind, which is weird because that was during the kind of new look, campy but semi-serious part of Batman's history where I'm like, I can't imagine them incorporating a long like serialized story involving a shadow player like that, and then the big reveal of, oh my God, we trusted you.
Yeah, and I mean, and that also, like, written now, that could be a definite, you could get a lot of drama out of that, just Bruce's reaction to find out, or, when he figures it out that it's Alfred, that would be really cool. I'd like to see that kind of redone or touched up.
And I'm sure Rebirth will do something.
Oh.
But you know what? Rebirth, I've been enjoying a lot of books from Rebirth so far, so as opposed to New 52, they might do it well. So
there's a few lines in New 52 that I liked from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. They did I liked a few of their storylines, but there's it's hit and miss, and I mean the artwork's always good. I love Greg Capullo's artwork, but the New 52 wasn't super solid.
We'll get to the New 52 here in a sec, but it did put Alfred in a prime position. The things they put him through to make him lose his mind. So after the Crisis, because Alfred was kind of a mainstay pre-Crisis for a good portion of Batman's history. Like, he moved when Batman left Wayne Manor for a bit and moved into the penthouse and kind of streamlined his operation to just him and Alfred. Like, Alfred was there, and then the reboot happened, or the Crisis happened, and then that's where they started to gussy up Alfred a little bit more. I'm trying to think, like, before we get into New 52 stuff, like, especially like in Nightfall, what do you think of his like turns and stuff like A Death in the Family and Nightfall and things like that?
Nightfall, I like it just because like it shows how much like Batman leans on Alfred, and it also shows like Alfred's struggle. It's like, how much do I let this guy put himself through before you know, like I get him some help, or, you know, like what the constant, like, is he insane? You know, am I helping a madman? Like that's Alfred's struggle. And I think in Nightfall that becomes most apparent. And I really like that.
Because he actually ends up leaving him for a long period of time. He feels like he's enabling him to a certain extent.
Yes.
I don't think he returns for a long while until Bruce like officially returns to the role. Because, you know, in Nightfall, again, spoilers for all you people who haven't read this yet, Bruce is out of commission and paralyzed, and then a more ruthless guy, Azrael, takes over as Batman for a bit. Bruce temporarily comes back to kick his ass and reclaim the mantle, but then leaves again to do some soul searching, and Dick Grayson takes over for the first time as Batman. And even then, Alfred's like, nope, still not coming back. Even though Dick Grayson tried to reach out to him to be like, hey, I'm running things now. Bruce is he's doing what you said. He's taking some time off. Come on back.
But then, yeah, and then I feel like Alfred, he gets the short end to where, you know, like, he's a close member in Batman's life and Batman's operation. So if you're gonna attack somebody, that's who you go after. So I feel like he catches a lot of flack that way too, you know.
Oh yeah,
like
he becomes a target, not just for Batman, but like Bruce Wayne too, because everyone like knows, oh, that's his long-standing butler who's like a father to him. If we want to hurt him on the corporate level or on the criminal level, what better way? Here's something interesting. Some of his romantic interests during this time. Because Alfred had romantic interests. He wasn't some just dude who's like, I'm not dead yet. Romantically linked to Leslie Tompkins. And we might do a dossier on her at some point, but Leslie Tompkins, for those who don't know, she was a social worker, right?
I think she's a surgeon and a social. Like
she knew the Waynes. She knew his father.
Yes.
And was there for Bruce after his parents died. And so, like, helped with his grieving. Not very well, apparently, but apparently he had the hots for her, and apparently had the hots for Tim Drake's stepmother. Yeah.
And Alfred, in the different, what do you call them? Eras, I guess, pre-crisis, post-crisis. They usually pop out a daughter. He's got a couple different named daughters, but so obviously Alfred likes to get down.
The most recent one, or at least the one that was in the New 52, I think was a callback to a daughter he'd had in pre-crisis, Julia something or other.
Remark.
Yes. That's what it was, Julia Remark. And she's basically his offspring from back when he was in the service. What do you think of Grant Morrison's take on him during, say, something like Batman R.I.P., where the brutalization of Alfred kind of begins?
You know, I don't know. I'm a classic guy. I like Alfred in the Batcave making snarky remarks, you know, and so the kind of grittier New 52 stuff, it shows a lot of Alfred's versatility. So I like that. But also, you know, you hate seeing a guy get put through the ringer, and you know, Alfred's just trying the best he can. So like that's but I don't know if I like the stories, but you know, on the one hand, I just like feel terribly for Alfred.
That's really where it starts before even the New 52 kicked off. Is in Batman R.I.P., they try to discredit the Wayne name by saying Thomas and Martha Wayne were like drug addicts and Thomas was abusive, and Alfred is actually Bruce's dad via Martha. And they've got that, what's the name? Dr. Hurt? Like the majority of that run, Alfred's like bound and gagged and beaten to a bloody pulp in a chair. So that's where things kind of start to take a bad turn for him, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then came the New 52, which the Joker, spoilers here, Joker cuts off Alfred's hand.
God.
Again, Alfred is beaten and brutalized by the Joker. He didn't lose his eye. That was just a simulation. I was like, they can't have been that cruel to Alfred. Apparently, Batman kept his hand on ice the entire time. Alfred had no reason to want to reattach it after he thought Bruce had died at one point. Oh, good. I didn't know this part of it. His hand was reattached, so there was a happy ending for him.
Yeah, everyone's whole and hearty.
Until Rebirth messes him up again somehow. Like they make him blind or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I think a blind Zatoichi samurai Alfred would be pretty badass.
That would actually be kind of cool. There's so many like other Alfred alternates aside from what we consider to be mainstream DC. Like, did you read any of Frank Miller's All-Star Batman and Robin? I don't understand.
I read a few of those. I think I read like the first 3.
Right. What'd you think? Did you get to the point where Alfred has to rescue Vicky Vale?
No.
So Alfred is like driving Vicky Vale back from, I think, the circus where Dick Grayson's parents are killed or something. Because Batman in that whole book is a sociopath and has essentially kidnapped Dick Grayson. So he's off tearing it through Gotham in the Batmobile with Dick Grayson scared shitless. And Alfred and Vicky Vale are caught in the crossfire when Batman rams a Batmobile through some criminals' cars or something. And Vicky is badly hurt. And so Alfred, very stereotypical of Alfred, just rips off his shirt and he's like bulked up like superhero. He's like Superman essentially.
Hey, and Batman ain't the only one in the gym. Yep. Alfred's got to keep up.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of the beginnings a little bit in modern days of like, let's toughen this dude up a little bit. He's not just prim and proper. He's actually got he can cut his teeth on some serious stuff.
I think Earth 1, did you read those?
Yes, I was just about to get to that. That's like,
okay, yeah, I think that's probably like the greatest we've seen Alfred. Yeah, and that one, he's barely a butler. He's from the Royal Marines, and yeah, they're trying to explain more like why Batman would end up the way he did. So yeah, this Alfred Pennyworth doesn't take no shit. I'm pretty sure he's wielding a couple different shotguns in this run.
He shoots the Penguin, I think.
Yeah,
with a shotgun at one point. I think that's how the first book ends. Again, sorry, spoilers. But we love talking about all these awesome scenes of Alfred where Alfred basically murders a Batman villain.
Yeah, no, it's I think this is my favorite. I don't know, there's that very short-lived Batman cartoon also.
Beware the Batman.
Yes, where he was just huge.
He looks like the Goon. Have you seen the comic book The Goon?
Yes.
He looks like that character except just in a suit.
And I kind of like that take too. I just like it if Alfred was just this huge hulking man for no reason, and he's a butler. I
like that. And I don't know if you read any of the Injustice Gods Among Us prequel comics.
Oh no, I haven't.
They're pretty good actually. The first year at least is pretty good because it happens a couple years before the first game.
Yeah. Leading
into it. There is an awesome scene. I don't want to if you want to look up like images for it, just look up Injustice Alfred Superman. You won't be disappointed. It is probably one of my favorite alternate Alfred scenes where he drops the whole butler facade. It just shows you what a badass he can be. Neil Gaiman, he wrote that Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader, kind of the epilogue for Grant Morrison's Batman, or Batman at a certain point in the main DC run. It was supposed to kind of mirror Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. But in Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader, it essentially boils down to Batman, before he quote-unquote dies, is having a near-death experience, and he has a bunch of people attending his funeral. And Alfred, in one iteration of Alfred shows up at the funeral, states that he made up Batman and all of his rogues galleries as a way for Bruce to cope with his loss.
Yeah. I think they did a Funny or Die or something like.
Well, no. Dorkly did like a quick little tune video of that. This came out way before that.
I didn't realize because I was just thinking about the Dorkly. I'd seen that and I didn't realize that there was actually a tie-in.
Yeah. Neil Gaiman went for the serious side of it.
Right.
Alfred essentially puts his acting chops to use and pulls a lot of his acting friends to play these different villains. Like the Riddler is actually his acting partner, Eddie Nash. And for the Joker, Alfred actually played the Joker every time Joker fought Batman. He would just paint up his face, put on a wig, and then get like a rictus grin going. So that was it was trippy to like see just that little anecdote fleshed out in comic book form. But I'm like, you know what? It kind of makes sense. And the reason he did it is because he loves this boy, now a man, too much to see him, completely given to grief. So he's like, channel that grief into anger.
And go beat up my friends.
Exactly. But it also implies that just like Batman is so mentally and emotionally broken that he doesn't realize everyone's in on it. Like the police placate him and things like that because Alfred asked them to. So
I mean, I'm sure he had to make a generous donation to the Gotham City PD to get this sort of preferential behavior.
Right. I think it's time we mentioned it a little bit here and there, and we alluded to it regarding the Burton movie and Beware the Batman. Let's talk a little bit about the different live action or animated versions of Alfred we're familiar with. Let's start with Alan Napier, who played Alfred in the Adam West and Burt Ward series. But they never actually call him Pennyworth, apparently. It's always Alfred, just Alfred. And Aunt Harriet's there, too. So
I wish they'd bring her back.
The dark rebirth reimagining of Aunt Harriet.
Yes, dude.
God, what would they do with her? Huh?
She's like a former prostitute.
That's the Miller version, dude. Where everyone starts out as a prostitute or stays a prostitute. She would be, let's see, ex-CIA, recovering heroin addict. These days, they're always retconning relationships in comic books. She would have been actually the mother of Harley Quinn. Yep, totally. That's how.
And she's good friends with Leslie Thompson.
Yeah. She'd be best friends with her or something like that. That's what they do for Rebirth. So DC, if you are listening to this, trademark Mike and Max to the channel. I'm claiming trademark on a character we don't own a trademark for.
Yes, so. on your trademark characters, we are putting our stamp on them. Deal with it. Talk to my lawyer.
The law offices of that ain't and gonna fly. So
they're good.
Yeah, they're good. We haven't had one complaint yet.
Yeah, but I think Jesus.
Is your red telephone going off?
Yes, it is. The bat phone is ringing. I think that this the Napier Alfred was the most butlery Alfred ever really got on TV because he didn't really do anything else. He was just kind of the butler.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, like I said, I do remember there are moments where he's involved in the plot pretty well. If not that, he's relegated to just kind of being that guy holding a dish in the background. Or I remember the running thing was he's the one who makes up excuses to Aunt Harriet as to why Bruce and Dick are never around.
Yes, somebody's got to keep that poor Aunt Harriet off their trail.
He served a pretty important function because God forbid we let one more person in on the secret.
No,
I do remember from not just the series but the movie when they would incorporate him into bat operations. His disguise was just a domino mask, but he'd still keep his suit on and everything like that.
He's still driving the car that says Wayne 1 on it.
Right. Well, no, I remember in the movie when Bruce Wayne's on a date with Catwoman, Robin and Alfred are following very close behind them in the Batmobile, and all Alfred's wearing is that domino mask.
Didn't he have he's got a chauffeur's cap on too?
Yeah, he had a driver's cap. It's so obviously Bruce Wayne's butler. Like Robin, at least he makes an effort to dress up in something completely different from Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
That's clearly just Alfred. Did you ever watch Birds of Prey?
No, I never did. Thank God.
I watched Birds of Prey. I mean, kind of begrudgingly, just because I was very curious, how can they fuck this up? But Birds of Prey, everybody, was a one-season wonder. Now, I use the word wonder very loosely.
Well, I mean, if it's good or bad, it's still a wonder how they achieved it, so that applies.
Yeah, and it's in the Bat universe, or deals with the Bat family to an extent. It's got Barbara Gordon in it as Oracle, being played by the redhead from Starship Troopers. It's got a woman playing Bruce and Selena Kyle's daughter, and she can't act. And it has Mr. Pip from Seinfeld as Alfred. Ian Abercrombie, the actor, is named as Alfred. And I gotta be honest with you, he's not that bad. The show isn't good. He's okay as Alfred. I kind of buy his Alfred.
Oh man, no, that's I couldn't bring myself to watch that show. I heard how terrible it was.
Yeah.
I think I was like knee deep in Charmed at that time, so I had all the shitty TV I could handle.
You watched Charmed. That cracks me up.
Hey, I had a girlfriend who watched Charmed, therefore I watched Charmed. It wasn't my decision.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We've been down this road before on 3 Geeks, I think. Yeah, that's right. Well, I will say he was really close to the original character. He had witty retorts. He was very sage and wise at times. He wasn't always in the foreground so much as the three leads who made up the Birds of Prey. I think at one point he did reference Dick Grayson making a return to Gotham sometime soon. Of course, that never happened. So I guess for a while he was Alfred. And then most recently on our favorite show, Gotham, Sean Pertwee portrays a younger version of Alfred, I guess. But still.
Yeah, I kind of like that Alfred, though. The show is terrible, but I like that guy as Alfred.
And he's following in the formula of he's seen some shit.
Yeah, and he's stuck with this kid, and he's got to raise him the best way he knows how. So guess what? You're roughing it a little bit. It's a little unorthodox upbringing we got going on.
So far, I guess, is our live action in TV at least. Before we get into the movies, let's talk animation, because I have a feeling I'm not as familiar with early Alfred actors in stuff like the Super Friends or anything like that. If Alfred wasn't, he was in Challenge of the Super Friends. But I never really got into that show or anything earlier than that. It wasn't until we got into Batman the Animated Series. What do you think of Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s Alfred?
This to me is the quintessential Alfred. This is the perfect blend of, he's your proper British gentleman, but he can also just pretty much handle anything that's thrown at him. You see Alfred in many different, doing different stuff. Like one time he gets captured by the Red Claw, a rogue organization, and they're torturing him, and they got him on truth serum to try to get some old British secrets from him. Yeah, and he's got to fight off the truth serum and all that stuff, and it's just it just shows Alfred is more of a badass than you normally see him, and I think that's my favorite Alfred story. It's really cool how that one goes down. I won't spoil it for you, but I think it's called the Lion, the Unicorn, and something or other.
Yeah, The Lion and the Unicorn. It was from the Adventures of Batman and Robin run of the show, where it delves a little bit more into what you're mentioning before, his service past and, his work in intelligence operations and things like that. I didn't realize this until I got the whole series on DVD, but yeah, the first 3 or 4 episodes, it was an actor named Clive Reveal or something like that, and he was supposed to be the long-standing Alfred, but he had to leave the show before completing the rest of the episodes, and that's when they brought in Ephraim Zimbalist, who he did a bunch of other great character work in other shows. Like he was Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man animated series, I remember.
All right.
And he was also the voice of Dr. Octopus, the voice of Alfred, a bunch of Disney stuff, and a bunch of cartoon work, of course. But
yeah, man. Once you get into Disney, you're set.
Yeah, you couldn't tell based off of his portrayal, because I know one of the mandates for that show, for the animated series, was you don't want to get cartoony voices, but you want to get voices that are characteristic, voices that have a certain timbre or a certain delivery to them that you'll remember. I liked his dry, witty repartee with Kevin Conroy. That's always fun to hear him poke fun at Batman, but not too much fun. You mentioned The Lion and the Unicorn as being a highlight. One of my favorite moments is my favorite Batman film moment, Batman other media other than comics moment, in Mask of the Phantasm. And that's the thing, it's just one word or one phrase. He just says, "My God." But the way he conveys "my God," I believe Alfred soiled himself the first time he lays eyes upon Batman.
Oh yeah, when he puts the mask on and he turns around and it is. I remember. That's a good scene.
It is my favorite animated Batman, at least, moment. is that first reveal of Batman to his closest friend.
And it even took it like, this is like this guy raised him from a child and like doesn't recognize him and is afraid. It conveys the Batman like aura or whatever. And because if he was, if it was just like, oh, it's just Bruce in a silly costume, then you don't understand why people fear the Batman at all. But like, if this dude could watch him put on the mask and still be so thrown aback or whatever, taken aback, then that holds a lot of weight.
Yeah, you have to buy that this man believes the little boy I've been caring for is gone. He's dead. And now there's this thing in its place. Even just with that one phrase, like it still gives me goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it right now and remembering it. Like it works so well. And that's a credit to Ephraim Zimbalist and what he was able to do. I think you mentioned in an interview, he's got to be loving, respectful, humorous, but also real. Yeah,
like Alfred is just such a very, his relationship with Bruce Wayne and Batman is so just, it's a weird thing because he raised him from a child, but now he's more of a partner or, or even he's been his butler the whole time. So he's a servant, but he's also a father. And it's a lot of things that, Alfred's got to come across and that can't be easy.
I guess after DC Animated Universe went by the wayside after Justice League, did you follow any of the Batman?
I watched like the first 2 episodes of that, and Joker's got like this Rastafarian deal, and he fights like capoeira, and I couldn't get down. So yeah, I didn't watch a lot. I heard it got a lot better the later it went, but I never gave it the time of day.
So you don't really have an opinion about Alistair Duncan as Alfred?
Yeah, I couldn't really say one way or the other just because I never decided to, nut up and just sit through it.
Yeah, I tried to follow. I was in a similar boat as you. Like when it was on Netflix for a time, I was just curious to kind of be like, I never actually did watch this show. Let me see what it's all about. I couldn't really get into it. It felt like it was trying to hearken to the animated series, but kind of be more hip or be more streamlined for modern kids and things like that. And I'm like, it's not my thing. And I really couldn't get a beat on Alfred in there other than it just felt like he was continuing what they were doing in the animated series with the character. Like there really wasn't much difference. Was he ever in Brave and the Bold? Oh yeah, he was in Brave and the Bold from time to time.
Yeah, he would be. Definitely. That was who's doing Batman. Diedrich Bader was doing Batman in that one. I don't know who did the voice of Alfred, but he would definitely call
James
back
Garrett.
at least.
James Garrett is his name, sorry. Oh, I remember now. Alfred wrote fan fiction in that. I remember there was one episode I saw just because it was about like Batman marrying Catwoman and Damian Wayne was their son. And then Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne became the new Batman and Robin. and then you find out at the end, like, it's all just in Alfred's journal, like this made up story. And he's like trying to convince Batman, who's about to head on patrol, like, go easy on Catwoman. You might even want to try flirting a little bit with her. So Alfred's not just a fan fiction writer, but he's also, what do you call it, a shipper? He ships Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah, he's definitely a, what do you call it, the matchmaker.
Yeah, the matchmaker. So I do remember that from Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, I don't think he was in too many episodes of that, though.
No. Well, because that, from what I gather, that show went all over the place in the DC universe, so there wasn't time for Alfred.
Poor little Alfred, just left by the wayside.
He did show up from time to time in Young Justice, but more in the background, right?
I don't think so. Like maybe there's like one episode I can remember where Dick was, like at home with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
for like 5 minutes, and you might have seen Alfred then. But yeah, I don't even recall him being in that show.
And then immediately after Young Justice, as Max and I have always said, unfortunately, prematurely was discarded. Beware the Batman, which has got that Alfred you mentioned before. Funny thing, the voice actor who played Alfred in there, J.B. Blank, he plays Bane in Arkham Origins.
Huh.
So, or actually, yeah, just Arkham Origins. So,
all right. Deep cuts, keeping it in the family.
Yeah, and when I found that, I'm like, yeah, well, makes sense. This version of Alfred is essentially Bane-ish in stature. So,
but I like that they went more Cockney British with this one.
Oi.
With the Alfred in this one, yeah. So he's kind of like trying to just put on. His Alfred uniform is the same thing as like the bat suit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's this thing he's got to put on and kind of carry about, and it's not really him, but you know he does it to keep up appearances. And I really liked that this Alfred was, you know, he was more involved. And like he got Katana to kind of be Batman's sidekick, and I like the idea that, you know, maybe Robin the Boy Wonder was a small Asian woman.
Boy, there's a phrase you haven't heard probably a lot in comic book talk lately. But no, yeah, I like that. He's got a good. I want to say a good relationship and dynamic going on with Bruce Wayne in that series. And like you said, with Katana, he is more of a mentor to her than he is to Bruce. I like that a majority of the season that they were able to get out there is driven by something from his past. Have you ever gotten to the full 26 episodes yet?
No, I didn't even know they were available.
Yeah, they're out there. You should find, like, they're out there to stream or to watch. I don't want to give away too much for you, but a major DC villain who, okay, here's a hint, probably might give a, who has had other outings and, you know, retconned histories with certain DC heroes in live action on the CW. In this series, he has a history with Alfred, and that plays into the end game of the series.
So Ra's al Ghul?
Kind of. Ra's al Ghul's he's the mid-season bad.
Oh, okay. The CW.
He comes into play.
You gotta tell me now.
Oh, you just want to know?
Yeah.
Okay, so audience, earmuffs if you don't want to know.
Spoiler alert! For
Beware the Batman, which I'm sure you knew about even before we started here, because that show was going off like gangbusters. Alfred apparently was like the military or operative supervising officer for Slade Wilson.
Huh.
So after he retires and starts training Bruce, because in that series, you know, Alfred was more involved with Bruce's training than in previous incarnations.
Right.
Slade Wilson found out and went like crazy and was basically jealous of Batman. Well, like, not like jealous, like, you stole my dad, but like all the respect and all the unique bond they probably had as brothers in arms. He felt betrayed. So Deathstroke becomes the big bad at the end of the season and is responsible for he's like responsible for the Outsiders being formed at the very end of the season. He was responsible for Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face in a way. Who Harvey Dent in that series, I don't know if you got this far, he was voiced by Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore.
Oh, nice! So I like that guy.
You hate him even more. Harvey Dent was an asshole before he became Two-Face, in other words. But
that guy's almost never a nice guy, is he?
No, he's always, which is weird, because didn't he start out as like a nice guy in Grease too or something? Or Grease?
Man,
yeah.
Nah, Grease, that's taking it way back.
We'll revisit our dossier on Harvey Dent at one point. But so Slade Wilson was responsible for Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. He's responsible for like making Batman sort of an outlaw again. And it all comes down to him knowing Batman as Bruce Wayne. And there's this huge fight in the Batcave between the two with Alfred's life hanging in the balance. So it's really kind of cool. I don't like how they resolved it. It's kind of weak sauce how they resolve the conflict, but the fight itself and actually him saying like, you betrayed me for this weakling in a bat suit essentially is kind of awesome. And it's kind of cool that Alfred's past drives a majority of the plot.
Yeah, and you know, because him being such a major role in Bruce's life, you'd figure like there'd be a little bit of trickle down. So yeah, I thought Beware the Batman got canceled prematurely. I was starting to like that show. There's a lot of different things about it I liked.
Yeah.
So, and then Alfred was definitely one of them, just because you've never seen an Alfred like that. I was kind of sad when it got, when they pulled the plug on it. But I think that was one of my favorite Alfreds, just because it was so different from every other Alfred you've seen.
Well, you never know if DC's committing to this access thing that they're going to be doing with their own shows streaming. Like, that's how Young Justice is coming back. Maybe Beware the Batman has a shot to return through that format.
Oh, Young Justice isn't coming back like on TV?
No. It's going to be like what they're doing with the new Star Trek series. It's going to be its own platform. Like, DC's getting into streaming service.
Okay, so we got to sign up for that too and pay $10 a month.
Yeah, probably.
Lame.
Or or you can wait for it to come out streaming somewhere else. Or who knows? They might have a partnership deal. So maybe if you've got Amazon or something like, or Netflix, even the show's found a home on Netflix, so they might end up doing that too.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, yeah, it's whatever. But I was really just kind of hoping to see Young Justice on TV. But I should just be happy it's coming back. I'm not going to complain. I'm just happy it's coming back.
Who knows? Maybe Alfred will have a very if with a subtitle like The Outsiders, maybe Alfred plays into it a little bit more, because for a time Alfred ran The Outsiders in the comics.
Yeah, that's true too. So I mean, it could go a lot of places. Like it's again, I'm just happy it's coming back. I'm not gonna criticize. I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth.
All right, so we've kind of had our salad or soup with the comics. We've had our appetizers with the TV. Let's get into the meat and potatoes now. Alfred in film, because boy, oh boy, do we love to talk about Alfred in film. So, I mentioned William Austin, the actor from the 43 serial, and he was replaced in 49 by an actor named Eric Wilton. That's all I really know. I never really watched the Batman serials. Did you?
No, I haven't seen them either.
So, the only reason I brought him up was that reason why they changed his appearance in the comics was because William Austin was the first to kind of pioneer the thin Alfred with a mustache look. Alan Napier, we already mentioned. He returned for the 1966 movie. Here we go. Michael Gough kicks off a new era of Alfred in Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher's Batman movies.
The worst Alfred ever.
And a lot of other people have called this Alfred out on shit too, like Kevin Smith in the commentaries for the Batman movies. He and Mark Bernardin will give Alfred shit for a lot of stuff, and it's stuff that I never really noticed he did until those commentaries, and I'm like, I'm in total agreement now. Alfred kind of sucks in these movies.
Yeah,
the performance is fine,
right? But it's not that the character sucks. It's not the portrayal of the character. It's just like, Alfred is super shitty. Like, I mean, how many people does he bring down to the fucking Batcave?
On the off chance that they won't become psychopathic cat ladies or well, no, that's not his fault, actually. Catwoman's not his fault. Vicky Vale is, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he senses that this one night stand might lead to eternal happiness for Bruce, so might as well show her the entrance to the cave.
I mean, dude, okay, but like, Batman had not pulled his dick out of Vicky Vale before Alfred showed her the Batcave. Like, it's ridiculous.
Is this what the kids call going steady, sir?
Is he like the oldest portrayal of Alfred? Because he seems like the most doddering,
Yeah, I'd want to say Michael Gough. He was already up there in years when 89 came about. Like, yeah, Michael Caine and Jeremy Irons, I still have like at least maybe 5 or 10 years, younger on it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
I mean, like, I guess it's kind of fitting, because if he's just like this old senile man who's like been forced to help this dude, like maybe he's losing it, and that's why he brings all these people down to the Batcave.
Well, that comes back, like I said, in those commentaries that Kevin Smith does for Fat Man on Batman. First of all, I agree wholeheartedly in the idea that there is no subtlety in Gough's performance. It's a delight to watch because it's an actor just going for it. Like, he is playing up the butleriest butler ever. There is no subtlety to him being quiet about the secret identity thing. Master Bruce, Commissioner Gordon had to leave very unexpectedly, sir. Okay. I believe...
No, sir. The other car,
sir. And Batman, who's supposed to be like the world's greatest detective, or I don't know. He's never touted as being that in these movies, but he's supposed to have a pretty keen mind that he can pick up on innuendo. At least it takes him like a good 2 or 3 tries for Alfred to really get the point home to him. I believe you're needed in the wine cellar, sir. Most urgently, sir. where Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer or whoever is just like, oh, yeah, I'll get around to it. Oh, the wine cellar. Oh.
Gotcha.
And it's like, it just downplays the intelligence of anyone else in the scene. Because like Vicky Vale and Knox. Vicky Vale and Knox are supposed to be like top-notch reporters or journalists. And they're like, they don't have clue on as to what that was all about. They're like, that was weird.
Why does that guy keep this old-ass butler?
It's a weird fetish thing or something. But yeah, so Vicky Vale is his fault. I don't think he does anything monumentally bumbling in Batman Returns. He's the DJ for the Penguins remix CD in Batman Returns. I remember that much.
Yeah, there's that for sure.
He jams the Penguin signals, which is hilarious because you can do that in this world. You can jam the signal of rocket-bearing penguins.
Oh yeah, no, we had discovered, Batman had discovered that technology years ago.
He hung on to it just in case some mutant penguin dude.
Hey man, in a world where we have bat shark repellent,
I'd have to say his biggest sin came in Batman Forever. It's Halloween and it's trick or treat, right?
Yep.
And so they're a kid. First of all, you got to be a pretty committed trick-or-treater to walk all the way out to deserted Wayne Manor for candy.
And then all the way up to the driveway from the gate.
Yeah, I know. That's a long-ass drive in and of itself. But then he opens up the door for 2 trick-or-treaters who are clearly not trick-or-treaters. They are clearly Two-Face and the Riddler wearing bad Halloween masks.
But I mean, like, even if they weren't Two-Face and the Riddler, they're still, like, grown-ass men.
Yes! It's so clear they're not kids. It's Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey putting on their baby voices.
Yeah.
Which if they'd done the whole movie just in baby voices, it probably would have been more terrifying. We don't
yeah, I could definitely do that. That would creep me the math out.
So Alfred opens up the door for supervillains, essentially, which leads to the Batcave stuff getting destroyed and all that. Not only that, but he enables Robin, who is insufferable in all of these movies. He's an enabler in that sense. As much as he tries to dissuade Batman from not doing Batman stuff, he has no moral compunctions about, like, let's put this kid in danger.
Well, A, the kid is like 32 in that movie.
Yeah.
And B, he's young. He can bounce back.
Yeah. I guess. It's like he makes his costume for him. So he's the one who first came up with the idea for bat nipples, if you want to put it in universe.
That's true.
Bat nipples are technically Alfred's fault, because it's established that thanks to that reveal of Robin in that movie, Alfred is responsible for the costume making. This will look very dynamic when the moonlight glints off your nipples, sir. No,
actually, the bat nipples are actually like radio receivers and GPS trackers.
One's lo-fi, one's FM, one's AM.
Yeah, or something.
So remember, kids, if you happen to look up on a rooftop and you see Batman or Robin up there tweaking their nipples, it's because they can't get good reception.
They're just trying to get that police band,
Oh, Jesus. Well, I guess I don't know. I guess Schumacher learned the error of his ways with Batman and Robin, because then he makes Alfred a plot point in Batman and Robin.
Oh my god!
For that,
and then Alfred shows another fucking wayward soul down to the bottom of the fucking Batcave. Like,
well, not directly though. He Jarvises that stuff and becomes an AI and leads her down into the Batcave or something, right?
No, I thought he was still alive.
Well, I mean, he's dying in that movie.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
And Alicia Silverstone, I refuse to call her Barbara or Batgirl. Alicia Silverstone is his niece in that movie. I do. And Kevin Smith makes a point of this. Like, there's that scene where she's explaining her backstory to all of them. And for some reason, Bruce Wayne and Dick are there walking behind them at all times. But it's because you have to think, like, this guy's fucked up so many times letting people into the Batcave. We got to make sure he doesn't say anything. Like,
you know? Like,
old people get forgetful.
See, like, that's the thing. They can't put Alfred in a home because he knows too much.
He'll start blabbing to the nurses and things like that.
and then next thing you know, you got all of fucking, Sunset Pines, a home for the elderly down in the Batcave. So we can't have that. So we just got to let him keep doing what he's doing and try to keep his interactions with other people down to a minimum.
That's part of his revenge scheme, though. He's like, you'll put me in a home, will you? Fuck it. I'm going to let people into the Batcave and charge admission. That's how I get back at you, you elitist prick. But yeah, so he's dying in that movie. And no, I remember he gives Alicia Silverstone the CD that he wants to entrust to his brother, because he wants his brother to take over for him should he die. Yeah. But Alicia Silverstone, being the paragon of trust, hacks into the CD, because you can do that with CDs.
Yeah, man.
And gets into the Batcave, and he knew that was going to happen because he makes a costume for her. Again, Alfred made the costumes.
Did hers have nipples?
No. So Alfred clearly had an agenda he was pushing with the costuming.
Maybe she needed to keep out of the closed circuit, because he wasn't really supposed to be letting her down there, so he didn't give her the bat nipple radio transmitters so that Batman wouldn't instantly know that there's somebody else on the radio channel. I bet you that's it.
Yeah, maybe he knew that'd be too much of a distraction for Batman and Robin if she was on a rooftop somewhere tweaking her radio. Come on. Let's go, Batgirl.
Or we can stay here and look for 88.8.
No, you'll get it. Yeah, you'll get it. Just focus. Just keep at it. Meanwhile, the Joker's across on a rooftop, shoots them both dead.
Just burning down all of the rest of Gotham.
Because they weren't paying attention, because they're watching a girl tweak her nipples.
Tweak her nipples in a bat uniform.
Jesus. What are the odds that Alfred, suffering from the same disease Freeze's wife is suffering from?
Hey, man.
That was convenient.
The fucking Lou Gehrig's disease or whatever the fuck. It happens.
I could have bought it more if it was something like Lou Gehrig's disease, but they had to make up, what was it?
I don't even remember.
McCaffrey syndrome or something like that. I don't know. So that was Michael Gough as Alfred. And surprisingly, the longest mainstay, aside from Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon in these movies.
Yep.
You can't hang on to a Batman. You only have Robin for a couple of movies. But Alfred and Commissioner Gordon, they're going to be with you to the bitter end.
To be fair, I think Chris O'Donnell would have kept making those movies if they would have kept making them.
I'm sure.
Because what the fuck else is he doing?
One of those crime scene investigations.
NCIS LA, but that was years and years later.
Yeah. He was in a bunch of rom-coms, I know that much. He's just like, I miss working with Al Pacino. Hoo-ah! Lead me to the... Oh, man, we missed out. Al Pacino is Alfred. Damn!
Oh, that would have been great.
First of all, you just have to call him by his name, Al. So, yeah.
That's true.
Oh, Master Bruce.
Confusion right there.
Master Bruce, come on down to the Batcave.
Hooah!
His fucking
hey there, Vicky
Batsuit.
Vale. Hooah!
The fucking Joker is on the fucking run again.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, that would be good. I think they can still get Pacino to play Alfred.
Oh, yeah. Dark Knight Returns, the official Dark Knight Returns movie adaptation. If he's still kicking, there's your Alfred right there.
I'm down.
if he can play Shylock, he can play Alfred. So, moving on here. We only got 2 more left, buddy.
All right.
Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan. They go a different route, and Alfred is, I'd say, more hands-on than he has ever been up until that point, in movie form at least. They cast Michael Caine, which, again, the trick is to go Michael Caine as Alfred. What do you think of Michael Caine as Alfred?
I liked Michael Caine. He brings that British gentlemanness to it, but then he also can, get a little ruddy, get a little dirty, and you believe that he's been places and seen things. So I liked his Alfred.
Yeah, I especially like him and Christian Bale. I'm not even going at this from like Batman and Alfred standpoint. Him and Christian Bale work really well together in scenes where Alfred is giving him shit, like in The Dark Knight, where he's stitching him up from being attacked by a dog, which I found kind of hilarious. I won't lie. Batman's weakness is dogs, but
yeah, man. Watch out for the Rottweilers.
Yeah, those guys are vicious. But he's stitching him up from the fight, and he's giving him crap. But then when Bruce Wayne, goes over to like put on his business shirt and stuff, and you see like the mileage on Bruce Wayne's body, like all the bullet holes and scars and shit, and you see Michael Caine is clearly like bothered by it, and that's where he says like, "Know your limits, Master Wayne," or whatever, right? I like that delivery. Like that's one scene that always sticks out to me with regards to this Alfred is he cares. You can tell he cares. He's not just an employee. He is essentially Bruce's father.
Or, loving uncle.
Loving uncle, sure. And so I do get his emotional journey throughout the trilogy, as it were. I do get, first of all, from a story point, I do get why he disappears halfway through Dark Knight Rises. It's just more of a way, it's like, what, if we're going to eventually put Alfred in peril, and that's going to be a cliche if he just sticks around and is put in jeopardy. So let's just get him out of here. So what they did with him, I was okay with. The one thing I have against Michael Caine's Alfred, and we've mentioned this before when we talked about Dark Knight Rises, he always has a parable for every situation. And I don't know if that's so much an Alfred problem as it is a script issue I have. And kind of a script issue I have with those movies in general, again, is just that there are times where they're too on the nose about their metaphors or about their characterization. Like everyone likes some men just want to watch the world burn. I don't like that. I don't like him explaining to me why the Joker is the way he is. I don't know.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I dug it just because, like, if it showed to me, like, hey, Batman's new at this whole Batman thing, so he doesn't fully comprehend, what he's the scope of what he's dealing with. Mm-hmm. And that's what Alfred's there for. And I don't think it was too much for that scene. But then it's like, again, once you get to the end of The Dark Knight Rises, and there's a parable for everything, and there's always some story about what he was doing off in the jungle and yada yada. So yeah, like it gets a little tired. But like, that was the first one. No, that was the second one. And I thought it was okay. I didn't hate on it too much.
I mean, there's nothing.
I did really like Michael Caine, and he's such a good actor.
Yeah,
you bring the weight of the, because you can tell that even in recalling that, there's a lot of sadness, and regret. Mm-hmm. And I like that a lot.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, it's a great performance. I don't want to take away from that at all, and it doesn't. It doesn't ruin the movies for me. Like I'm like, this is all bullshit now. Alfred would never say that. What bullshit? Like it's more along the lines of it's from the perspective of an audience member, and this is something I have with an issue I kind of take with all comic book movies is that whenever you have a story that is trying to take itself very seriously and trying to ground itself as best as possible in a world very similar to ours. When you have those long kind of monologues or those long points of eloquence, which do sound, they sound beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And they are eloquent and well delivered. But part of me is taken out of it to kind of be like, who talks like this in the moment? Batman just came back from being beaten the hell out by a psychotic clown, and your first response is to be like, This reminds me of a time when I was in Burma. But I get your point too. And like I said, it's not a deal breaker for me with regards to these films. It's just something I've noticed. You have to admit, it gets ridiculous though with the cafe thing in the last one.
Oh yeah, totally. 100%. Absolutely. The Dark Knight Rises is fucking. You can pull 15 different things out of there that are 100% deal breakers, and they have them all. So
red flag for all of you out there. Pay close attention to that cafe speech when Alfred first makes it. It comes back.
So yeah, it's Dark Knight Rises is his whole own thing that I can't stand. But Michael Caine was the worst part of it by far.
Yeah, so that was the Nolan period. And I guess it kind of bleeds over a little bit into Dawn of Justice, because so far that's all the Alfred we've gotten in this new extended universe series of films is Jeremy Irons as Alfred. And as you've already stated, you enjoy his portrayal?
Yes. Oh, yeah, very much. I think Jeremy Irons is, again, another super high-quality actor that they brought in to fill out this part, because, they realized that you need someone who can pull off Alfred. And yeah, you don't see a lot of Alfred in this one, but he is obviously a crucial part of the Batman program. And you get that same snarkiness and that same, like, I'm tired of sewing you up, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. He's as phased out as Bruce Wayne is at this point.
Yes.
Like, their banter, I still enjoy. Those are my favorite scenes, are when they're just in the cave working on shit. But, like, his banter with Bruce in here, like, it's still classic Alfred Batman banter, but there's this really cynical edge to all of it now.
Yes.
You should save some of these for future generations of Waynes. Not that there will be any future generations, but I like that. I like that sardonic wit he still has, but there's a little bit of truth to it. He's like, you're in your 40s. What are you still doing this shit for?
Yeah, like, it's just not going to end well.
You remember that time Joker beat your sidekick to death, apparently, and spray painted crap all over his suit?
And then you kept it? You remember that?
And you kept it. It's right outside the door, Bruce. What the fuck?
You fucking weirdo. Has anyone ever told you you're a weirdo? I don't think enough people have told you that, Bruce.
And Bruce is just like, at least I'm not some alien Hitler. That's where a little bit of the Nolan influence crept in, because there's one moment where Alfred does have a speech in that movie, because I figured that's kind of stable. Alfred does have to have speeches. Yeah. I've accepted it. But he does have that speech about, like, it's the fear, the rage that turns good men cruel. I'm like, there's some Nolan for you, even though he had nothing to do with the movie aside from, I think, just executive producing it.
Yeah, I think, he was just a
mean
to get people interested.
You could tell someone in the script writing process was like, man, remember when he made that speech in The Dark Knight? We got to have something like that.
Like, yeah, you remember the child with a ruby the size of a tangerine?
The bandit was throwing them away. Oh my god. At that point, it's just like, they should have just had Michael Caine come back. Here's my cousin. He's also named Alfred. He's got this little speech for you that he would like to regale you with before you go off and beat up this alien. But yeah, I agree with you. He should have shown up in Wonder Woman. That would have been kind of cool.
Nice, right? Because, I mean, you get a little that you can give a little snarkiness too.
Yeah, and it would have, I don't know, in a way made Batman look a little bit better. Because if Batman's willing to show up to talk to Amanda Waller about bullshit in Suicide Squad, how much of it really sting for Diana that he doesn't show up to deliver a keepsake, or at least send an actual person that she would know? I'm sure we'll see more of it, because he's supposed to be in Justice League. I'm sure we'll get more of his great performance through there. I'm secretly hoping, and I know this is stupid sounding because I don't want to be Alfred shipping relationships here, but Martha Kent's supposed to be in there too. I'd say have Diane Lane and Jeremy Irons have a couple of cute scenes together. Whatever. That'd be cool. It's kind of a step up for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, you really only see the Kents when Superman's having some life trouble, or whatever. Like, and
flashbacks where Kevin Costner ignores her, essentially. Yeah. It's like, was there ever a really loving moment?
in a scene where she's A, not being kidnapped, or B, just like not being like, fuck the world, Clark, do what you want.
It'd be nice that these two people meet up after being in relationships with very cold, distant people. Batman and Jonathan Kent.
Yes.
So that's my little guilty hope. It will be out of nowhere like the Black Widow Hulk stuff from Ultron, but I don't care. At that point, it's like, just go for it, DC.
Yeah, could it be any worse than what they've given? I don't think it's gonna hurt.
It's like it'll give us something to talk about.
Yep, that's the truth.
We'll look forward to more adventures from Jeremy Irons. Oh, I forgot one last Alfred here. Actually, the most recent Alfred. Ralph Fiennes from the Lego Batman movie.
He was a good fucking Alfred. But, I mean, he also gets the benefit of it being a comedy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, Ralph Fiennes was excellent as Alfred in the Lego Batman movie. I love that movie.
Kind of broke my heart a little bit, too, because that whole time when Will Arnett's Batman's just being like, whatever, it's like, you're not my dad. Or, he has certain points where it's like outright dismisses Alfred as being someone who loves him. And Alfred's just like, you can tell Alfred's kind of heartbroken.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
And it's hysterical.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes, who would have thought he could be really kind of funny and nurturing, especially after we've had, 10 years of him trying to kill a kid with a lightning bolt on his head?
Well, no, because if you watch, In Bruges...
Yeah.
He's this gangster, but he's got this whole comedy to him that... So he's got some comedic chops he's shown.
I look forward just to seeing Ralph Fiennes do more funny stuff, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely want to see a Lego Batman sequel. I know those guys just got fired off of fucking Star Wars, but, screw Star Wars. Get back to what you're good at.
I always found it weird with Lego Batman that he voices Alfred, but he doesn't actually voice Voldemort in the movie. Because Voldemort... No, he doesn't. That's weird, isn't it?
That is weird.
Because, let's face it, his Voldemort was already kind of hilarious, but in the unintentional way.
Right.
But it's weird. It's like you figured you had the actor there. You know he can do the role.
Why not? It's like they got in Hellboy to play Abraham?
Yeah, Abe Sapien. Yeah.
Abe Sapien, yes. They had the dude from Frasier do the voice first. Mm-hmm. And Doc Jones could just do the voice.
It sounds exactly the same, yeah.
Yes.
It's like, I wouldn't have known that they had traded out David Hyde Pierce.
But, so I guess, whatever, whoever made the call, it turned out okay. So, there's no real criticism there, but yeah, it's just a little odd.
We've been going for about a good hour and some change on just Alfred. Can you believe that?
Well, but Alfred is so, again, because he's like the only character other than Batman who's been there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So, it's like he's a huge part of it, and he's had so many twists and turns along the way.
I guess we didn't mention
so many people the Batcave.
Yeah, it's long history of negligence and trust issues. Want to know why Batman isn't so trusting? Just watch 1989 Batman, and you'll get an idea. I guess we didn't mention the video game stuff. I like the Arkham Asylum versions of Alfred.
Yeah. And that's more of your. I'd say that's more of your Batman animated series vein of Alfred. It's a good performance. I don't even know who did the voice on that one.
Martin Jarvis. Oh, geez, another person named Jarvis. Jeez.
There we go again.
He's good. He's a good kind of voice to have in your ear throughout that story. It is kind of fun to have Batman over comms with you the entire time. Or to have Alfred with you over comms the entire time. I'd say the only substantial stuff he's given is in Arkham Origins, where the whole crux of it is Alfred is still adjusting to Batman throwing himself into danger all the time. And that's about it. Yeah,
because there's just like a few cutscenes where he actually gets a little bit more exposition or whatever. But there's not too. And then it's mostly just like over the radio. Oh, this is going down over here, sir. It's like he's pretty much Jarvis instead of Alfred.
So I'm picking up unusual seismic activity. That's the one line that stays with me from Arkham Knight when you have to go look for plants or whatever. That is our Chat-Dossier on Alfred J. Pennyworth. I think J is his official middle name, and I'm sure.
Hold on, let's see here. See, on this one we got Alfred Thaddeus Crane.
Oh, Yeah, Alfred Thaddeus Crane. In the Dark Knight trilogy, he's Alfred J. Pennyworth. That's what it is. Huh.
I like the Thaddeus Crane. That's like epic.
I do kind of like that, yeah. So that has been our chat dossier on Alfred Thaddeus Crane Pennyworth. The butler's butler, the right hand to the bat, the father he doesn't realize he has right in front of him. Or like you said, the loving uncle. So that's all we have for this episode of the Chat Cave. We'll probably be back with some Bat-related news at some point down the line, or if we want to review a comic story. I don't know. We'll have to decide on something. But once again, you've been listening to the Chat Cave here on McGTV, youtube.com/MikeMcGTV. Follow us on Twitter at MikeMcGTV. Follow the Three Geeks podcast with Max over at youtube.com/3geeksnetwork or 3geeks.ninja, or on Twitter at 3geekspodcast. That's a mouthful. Huh.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm eating a bowl of, what was that soup from Batman Returns? It's fishy soiree, sir. It's supposed to be cold. That is it for now. Until next time, same chat time, same chat channel.
Listen to this in the other car.
Have a good night.